I am blind and do not see the things of this world. But when the light comes from above, it enlightens my heart, and I can see, for the eye of my heart sees everything. Words of the Lakota educator Black Elk. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me, everyone who's here in person as well as those online. I'm grateful for your presence here, for whatever it is that's brought you into this space. It might be a time of celebration and joy. It might be a time of reflection and sorrow. Perhaps a time to hear a few words of wisdom or to connect with one another, or maybe simply to rest in the divine. Whatever it is that's brought you here, I hope you'll find it, and I know that you'll find a warm community. Unfortunately, one person who won't be with us today is Aaron, our pianist, who is unwell and sent his apologies, and we send him our prayers. Luckily, especially during lockdown and COVID, Aaron recorded a huge amount for us to be used in our online worship, so we're able to draw from that sort of wealth of resources for him. And then more modestly draw from my own resources as a musician to play our hymns today. But I'm really grateful for that prelude, for our interlude and postlude that we will hear later on. So those words from Black Elk were used to light our chalice. We turn now to Rumi as we reflect even deeper into worship. You are quaffing drink from 100 fountains. Whenever any of these 100 yields less, your pleasure is diminished. But when the sublime fountain gushes from within you, no longer need you steal from the other fountains. So may we know that inner eye and inner light. May we know the inner drink, as Rumi and Black Elk both share with us. And let us share our inner voices with our first hymn in the Green Book, number 18, We Gather Together, by Dorothy and Robert Sangas. Thank you. Let us turn now to a time of prayer. These words of Walter Jayadardine from the Unitarians in Sri Lanka. This is followed by our covenant, which you'll find printed in your order of worship and will appear online. But first, these words. Rain clouds, sunbeams, star clusters that lasso round the moon are linked in friendly concord. Fowls of the air and earthbound creatures, ponds and lakes and fish that brave the mighty ocean and joust in joy. Trees and vines that provide fruit for the sustenance of humanity and beast. In our home of health, which enriches life,
All these are the multiform facets of that supreme message delivered silently. We are the children of Mother Earth. Human creatures and beasts form the soul of the earth. Our earth, this habitat of love. We're gathered here to reflect on how nature sheds fragrance for our lukewarm souls. Day and night we bear the weight of our struggles as burdens, and gathered here now to seek their resolution. Amen. And please read with me our covenant. We gather here in sacred fellowship to witness the fullness of our lives and all life, to hold and be held, tell stories and listen, to be renewed and renew the world. We speak with care and patience. We act with gentleness and compassion. We forgive each other and ourselves. In faith that we build beloved community, we renew our covenant today. Amen. Someone was sharing with me a reading that I've given before about the church where everything goes wrong right before the service.
This isn't quite that service, though I'm very saddened, of course, by Aaron's absence. But something else that has gone wrong is that I forgot actually our children's story today. I left it amongst Thomas's sort of collection of Julia Donaldson, Axel Scheffler's material. Though I do have a sort of, I was going to say my own version, though it very distinctly lacks the rhyming structure that Julia Donaldson is known for, and obviously lacks the wonderful cartoonish imagery of Axel Scheffler. But this is the smartest giant in town, and it involves a giant named George. And George, as you can imagine, is this giant. He lives in this mystical world with people who we might describe as sort of regular-sized, just people, us-sized, as well as animals, and wonderful animals that can talk. George wasn't the smartest giant in town. He was talking about dress. He was the scruffiest. He was quite, his clothes he'd worn for years upon years. They hadn't necessarily been washed as well, or maybe they'd been washed too many times, and they were all a bit tattered. He became very self-conscious about this, and he decided that he would get himself dressed, get some new clothes, and that would make him the smartest giant in town. So he did just that. He found a tailor who made, of course, this absolutely beautiful outfit for him, absolutely massive, so that he could wear it and head home. And as he's heading home, George encounters a giraffe, and this giraffe is upset. And when he asks the giraffe why he's sad, the giraffe talks about being very cold, and particularly having a cold neck. This giraffe had a lovely scarf, but it got blown away, and now he has no scarf. And George thought, well, I've got a new tie, and because I'm a giant, it's a massive tie, and it might just work for this giraffe as a scarf. So George offers the giraffe his scarf, and indeed it helps the giraffe. George can go on his merry way, and he still looks very nice. He looks very, I suppose this is the look that he's going for now without the tie. And so he's proclaiming, well, I am still the smartest giant in town. But as he carries along, he eventually runs into a goat on the side of the sea. And the goat's upset because he was just about to go on a big journey. But the boat has no sail. He doesn't know what to do. Well, thinking, I've got this sort of lovely outfit, I have this sort of shirt, I could offer the goat the shirt off my back, and that's big enough for a sailboat. So he does just that. He gives the goat his shirt as a sail for the boat. You can see how I can't quite capture the same rhymes as Julia Donaldson. And he's able to go on his way thinking, well, I still look pretty neat. I've got some really lovely trousers and shoes, some beautiful argyle socks. And I have done some good in the world. I've given my shirt to a goat in a boat, and I've given my tie as a scarf for a giraffe. Then Carries on and sees a mouse. And this mouse is crying with all of its little mouse children around it. And he asks this mouse why she's crying. And she says that her house burned down, and she now has no place to live, and especially no place for her babies to live. Well, George looks over himself, and he thinks, well, my shoes are pretty big. I think they're big enough for a mouse's house. So he offers one of his shoes to the mouse. And she's, of course, very grateful and very happy. Now George, of course, has to sort of hop as he continues on his journey. But he's still very happy because he still has a lovely shoe. He still has some lovely socks and his trousers. And he's, of course, done well. He's helped that giraffe, he's helped that goat, and he's now helped a whole family of mice. He then encounters a fox, who, like the giraffe, is a bit cold. And by this point, sort of the day's carried on. It's getting towards nighttime. The fox is on a camping trip, and unfortunately forgot a sleeping bag. George looks down, and he realizes he, of course, doesn't have one shoe, and so he can see his sock, and he thinks, well, I think a fox could sleep in that. So he takes off his sock, and he gives it to the fox. And the fox is very grateful. And he carries on his way, hopping along. Eventually, he's getting near his home, but before he gets there, he has to walk past a bog, and he encounters a dog that's trying to cross this bog. And the dog, of course, is worried about getting stuck and getting unable to sort of get through it and get past it. And he thinks, well, I've got this belt. If I take the belt off, I can lay it across the bog, and the dog will be able to cross it without much difficulty. So he does that. So, if you just to make sure you haven't lost count, he's given his tie to a giraffe, he's given his shirt to a goat, he's given his shoe to a mouse, he's given his sock to a fox, and he's given his belt to a dog, so the dog can cross a bog. And now he's, of course, hopping along, but, he also doesn't have a belt, and so his trousers fall down. And now he certainly does not feel like the smartest giant in town. In fact, he feels outright foolish. And he realizes just how much clothing he's lost in these endeavors. So he hobbles away back to the tailors to see if they have a chance to fix him some more clothes. But when he gets there, they are closed. They've left for the day, because as I say, the day had progressed. They need to get on with their nighttime. But luckily, they had just thrown his old clothing out at the side to be picked up by the rubbish, by the garbage collectors. So he takes his old clothing, he puts it on, and he's feeling, like I say, outright foolish about this. He's given away pretty much all of his really nice clothing, and now he's basically back to square one. He carries on, along that journey until he gets home. And when he gets home, there is a gift. And it's this lovely card, and it's from all the animals that he helped, pointing out that when they were in need, he provided for them. He gave a scarf to a giraffe. He gave a goat his shirt to use in a sailboat. He gave a mouse a shoe for a house. He gave the fox a sock. And he helped a dog across the bog with his belt. They made for him a paper crown, just so that he would be able to know that he is the kindest giant in town. A variation on Julie Donaldson's The Smartest Giant in Town. So you're invited to share your lives and your stories, your joys and sorrows. If you want to light a candle and say a few words, please come to the microphone so those using the loop system, those who are online, will be able to hear you. If you are online, please type into the chat box and we will read your message out. But you can light a candle in silence if you wish. And as always, if you want to remain seated, know that your presence here is enough. So I'd like to light a candle for Aaron, who's in our thoughts and prayers, that whatever illness he has will be quick to pass, and that we'll see him next week.
I'm lighting 2 candles, one of thanks for everyone here and for everyone at the Sparkle weekend and everyone in the trustees, the core volunteers, the community. I think we gained sight Wednesday. We will lose sight, so we'll lose Sackville Gardens back to the council Monday at noon. So we will have had, last year we had 14,000 people through on the Friday night, the Saturday afternoon and evening, and the Sunday afternoon and evening. And I'd like to second for absent friends.
For all those joys and sorrows here spoken, and those that remain silently in our hearts. Let us sing now our next hymn, this time in the Purple Book, number 195, June Boyce Tillman's We Sing a Love That Sets All People Free, hymn number 195.
We turn now to the 19th century poet Sarah Woolsey, entitled A Home. What is a home? A guarded space wherein a few, unfairly blessed, shall sit together face to face and bask and purr and be at rest. Where cushioned walls rise up between its inmates and the common air, the common pain and pad and screen from blows of fate or winds of care. Where art may blossom, strong and free, and pleasure furl her silken wing, and every laden moment be a precious and peculiar thing. And past and future, softly veiled in hiding mists, shall float and lie forgotten half and unassailed by either hope or memory, while the luxurious present weaves her perfumed spells untried, untrue, broiders her garments, heaps her sheaves, all for the pleasure of a few. Can it be this, the longed-for thing which wanders on the restless foam, unsheltered beggars, birds on wing, aspire to, dream of, christen, home? No. Art may bloom, and peace and bliss, grief may refrain and death forget. But if there be no more than this, the soul of home is wanting yet. Dim image from far glory caught, fair type of fairer things to be, the true home rises in our thought, a beacon set for all to see. Its lamps burn freely in the night, its fire glows unchidden shed. There are cheering and abounding light on homeless folk uncomforted. Each sweet and secret thing within gives out a fragrance on the air, a thankful breath sent forth to win a little smile from others' care. The few, they bask in closer heat. The many catch the further ray. Life higher seems, the world more sweet, and hope and heaven less far away. So the old miracle anew is wrought on earth and proved true, and crumbs apportioned for a few, God blessed, suffice a multitude. Sarah Woolsey's A Home. And let us return to a time of prayer with these words from the Odes of Solomon. My heart was split, and a flower appeared, and grace sprang up, and it bore fruit for my God. You split me, tore my heart open, filled me with love. You poured your spirit into me. I knew you as I knew myself. Speaking waters touched me from your fountain, the source of life. I swallowed them and was drunk with the water that never dies. And my drunkenness was insight, intimacy with your spirit. And you have made all things new. You have showed me all things shining. You have granted me perfect ease. I have become like paradise, a garden whose fruit is joy, and you are the sun upon me. My eyes are radiant with your spirit, my nostrils fill with your fragrance. My ears delight in your music, and my face is covered with your dew. Blessed are all who are planted on your earth, in your garden, who grow as your trees and flowers grow, who transform their darkness to light. Their roots plunge into darkness, their faces turn towards the light. All those who love you are beautiful. They overflow with your presence, so that they can do nothing but good. There is infinite space in your garden. All are welcome here. All they need do is enter. Amen. And so let us enter into a period of silence for reflection, meditation, contemplation, and personal prayer. Let us sing now our next hymn, this time in the Purple Book, number 142, Shining Through the Universe by Roger Mason. I'll play through it completely once. It's the way it's written in the music is it sort of continues straight from one verse to the next. So we will, well, I was going to say we'll attempt that. If we need sort of little pauses, then we'll accommodate as and when. This is hymn number 142. Some journeys we're not meant to return from. And I don't mean this in a macabre fashion, however, that, of course, is very often where our minds first go. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus reminds us that you cannot step into the same river twice, often used as a means of describing impermanence, to suggest that were we to return, we would still find a new river that carries on. The only constant is change, as the old saying goes. But if you would entreat me, I want to look at this from a different vantage, or perhaps maybe journey along it in a different direction, downstream, so to speak. Let us hear that sentence again. You cannot step into the same river twice. We are put in that position of the individual who's stepping into the river. I, however, would love to imagine us, or have us imagine experiencing this from the river's perspective, coursing through rocks and trees, cascading over waterfalls, and eventually disappearing into the ocean. All manner of recognition diluted. As we rush downstream, we encounter a foot of someone stepping into us. We meet this foot, we say hello, and then we continue on our journey. Whatever happens to the foot or the person attached remains a mystery. You will not encounter the same feet again, might be the expression from the river's perspective. This is how the wise sayings of the rivers go, I imagine. Not only not encounter, but to not actually really know much of. Did the person try stepping back into the river? We don't know. We're already preoccupied with the causeways and the rivulets, with the fauna and the canoes that require our attention at each moment. We might think, therefore, that this foot stepping into us bore no significance whatsoever, but that would be false. We may say that the person stays and the river carries on, but anyone who has stepped into, swum with, or even walked beside a river will know that it indeed carries life with it. Rocks become smooth, soil erodes, the tiniest memento is broken off and taken with the river. The river's silt is the memory of its bedrock upstream. It's a gift from the past. Returning for a moment to that person stepping into the river, though, we might be obstinate. We might hold fast to our feelings and opinions. The river doesn't carry me. I'm firm in my footing. In this impermanence doesn't bother me or affect me, nor will I have any appreciable bearing on its direction. But again, we would be wrong. For even if we hold fast to our place, the river does not simply carry on as if we were never there. Eddies and ripples will emanate from our footstep, changing subtly the forces further down the bend. Never underestimate the impact some possible chance encounter might have on your life, whether you consider yourself the river or the person. There are moments of enlightenment when one suddenly becomes aware of time, not the movement of a clock, but the retreating of the past. It may be a recognition that our childhood will not be the childhood of others. It may be a long-lost contact whose mysterious presence in our minds suddenly appears, but then just as quickly recedes. Maybe it's regret, or maybe it's joy, however bittersweet. Sitting with a loved one, realizing, no, I don't miss the office. Religion makes much of the cyclical nature of life, which makes sense because that's partly its purpose. It resides with mythos and nature and remains rooted to an early society bound by the sunlight and the seasons. It exists as a counter to the world outside that demands progress, demands ever better efficiency, ever greater numbers. While we have been creating an economy of 0-hour contracts, micro jobs, and phones that bring our office home, religion has continued its persistent refrain to remember the Sabbath and keep it holy, calling softer amidst the cacophony. Religion does serve to remind us that though we may think we are not stepping into the same river twice, ultimately the water is pulled into the sky and returns down the hillside. So wait long enough, and yes, you will greet the water you knew before. Last month, I gave a homily about Earthrise, which is one of the first photos of Earth that was taken from outer space. Although my message then was partly about the manipulation of images, the photos of the Earth taken from space are oftentimes turned around so that north is facing up. Which is how we conceive of it, even though the actual pictures taken by the astronauts can be completely reversed. In the case of Earthrise, the image was actually turned 90 degrees. You have actually the moon is on the sort of side of the image, and it's been flipped so that it looks, so if you were to look at it as if you're standing on the moon. The reflection on our view from space continues to bear fruit for me, even a month after thinking about it. In this case, I'm reminded of the space program and our attempt to land on the moon. See, the moon landing and the Herculean efforts made to get there invoke a certain mythos in us, just as I said, nature and myth, reside within our religion. It's ostensibly a story of progress, development, and achievement. Although the ambition of reaching the moon carries back further and further, Kennedy made his famous proclamation in 1961 to send someone to the moon by the end of the decade, though we might look to Eisenhower for an earlier genesis. And of course, humanity's canon of story demonstrates our perpetual need to capture the heavens. We could go all the way back to the Tower of Babel. Is the moon landing this quintessential illustration of Heraclitus's maxim that you cannot set foot on the same river twice? I wonder if subsequent missions were less appealing. For just over 3 years, 1969 to 72, then we stopped exploring the moon, at least in person. We moved on to different projects, the International Space Station, the potential for a mission to Mars. When I was studying music, I became infatuated with George Crumb. Amongst his groundbreaking pieces was one called Night of the Four Moons, which used a poem by Federico Garcia Lorca. The moon is dead, dead. One interpretation of this line is that by stepping onto the moon, we have removed some of its mystery. It was no longer an unknown, hundreds of thousands of miles away. We could actually hold its rock in our hands. Revisiting this poem, though, I feel aware that Lorca and Crumb are trying to remind us that amidst the progress and development, the pulse of the earth still rings true for us. We can step on the moon, but we cannot touch the tides. Just as spring returns, the moon will enliven us again. Let our fields lay fallow and keep our Sabbath, and the rhythm of nature will sustain us. Unfortunately, we have worked the earth and ourselves to the point of exhaustion, and are now entering a period in human history where the guarantee of seasonal renewal is not assured. If part of the task of religion is to remind us of the cyclical nature of time, yet these cycles are accelerated or now non-existent, where are we? Is this a point where religion itself will fail us because of our failure to the earth? With climate change, political shifts, technological developments, we might feel this foreboding sense of Pandora's box being truly opened. What I had thought was moderately dealt with, this fear of the other expressed in overtly racist chants, turns out to be not merely tolerated but endorsed as an appropriate form of political dialogue. I was under no illusion that prejudice had disappeared, but I certainly felt a sickness as we encounter more and more voices endorsing bigotry, stepping away from our potential as a loving and compassionate species. It's a bit foolhardiness, I suppose. We want to be Prometheus, stealing fire from the gods to give to humanity. But in fact, we may be his brother Epimetheus, whose jar of ills Pandora opened. There is such a yearning for times past, simpler times, as we often say. Perspective, like the river, smooths the edges of history and memory. Looking to the moon again, many, I think, want to recapture the sense of hope and possibility manifest in our recollection of the era of moon travel. We want to recapture it as badly as Pandora wants to rebottle those ills that were unleashed upon the world. Some journeys we're not meant to return from, because it is not we who are returning. The astronaut who stepped out onto truly foreign soil, who saw the earth rise against a pitch-dark sky, I doubt they returned the same. I hope they return transformed, and very often they say that seeing the earth, seeing the wholeness of the pale blue dot, absolutely changes their perspective on the world and on humanity. As we set foot into a world of unknowns, of warming oceans, increased storms, droughts, floods with less reliability, as our box has been opened, may we not wish to idly step back into simpler times, to retreat from the challenges of today. For those times are both unlike ours, yet all too familiar. May we not hold assumptions of the past that misdirect us into the future. Some things cannot be undone, but that does not mean we should stop. Indeed, take many steps into that river. You may only know it this one lifetime, and it is a river teeming with life, with rich silt, verdant banks, and all manner of potential. Amen. Now, I've forgotten to pick up an order of worship. There's notices on the back. Don't worry, Joe, it's fine. I've got stuff from memory. No, don't worry. We have our Friday lunchtime recital next month, July 25th. Please do join us. We're featuring Daria Fussell and Aaron Breeze. Assuming he's better, I really, really hope he's better by then, if not next week. Our Friday recitals are always free, but we're absolutely grateful for any contributions which go to the artists to recognize their time, talent, and energy. And both Daria and Aaron have played for us, Aaron every week. So we know their caliber is high, just as every month we bring in world-class artists to perform for us. And then the next sort of big announcement, of course, is our Pride weekend at the end of August. Please do sign up if you're joining us on the march. We have on the day, on the Saturday, the chapel is open from 10. We usually go down about 11, and then we're supposed to set off about midday. We come back afterwards for a bring and share meal if you wish to join us. And then on Sunday, we always have a guest speaker for our Pride service. This year, we're very delighted to welcome our very own Coyne Daly, who's going to be talking about trans rights and the sort of importance on faith communities for that. Are there any announcements or notices from the congregation? Yes, Joe.
Excuse me. I am heading to the village. If anyone would like to join, we'll be going in procession.
What is this for, Joe?
The Sparkle Weekend.
Thank you. Sparkle Weekend after the service. Thank you. Any other announcements or notices? Let us then sing our final hymn, One World This, in the Green Book, number 229.
We thank Aaron for the music that he's provided. Thank you, Naomi, for the IT. Thank you, Joe and Sonia, for helping to set up. Do we have anyone to help with the tea and coffee today? Thank you, Alvin, for the tea and coffee that we're about to enjoy. And thank you to everyone for creating and sharing worship today. We close with these words of Anne Frank. When I looked outside right into the depth of nature and God, then I was happy, really happy. So long as I have that happiness here, the joy in nature, health, and a lot more besides, all the while one has that, one can always recapture happiness. Riches can all be lost, but that happiness in your heart can only be veiled, and it will still bring you happiness again as long as you live. As long as you can look fearlessly up into the heavens, as long as you know that you are pure within, and then you will still find that happiness. Amen.
It's almost I could see Aaron around. Yeah. I'm looking at the weather, I could see it. Now